Hey, chatters. So far in our coding journey, without having any idea how to code, I've helped you navigate how to use things like GitHub and VS Code. These will be the environments that we're doing the coding in. Now we got to build our prompt for actually helping us to code. So first off, I like to, have characters. And so I was doing my chat with ChatGPT podcast and went off on a little bit of a tangent with the professor. And we were kind of like surveying the digital garden of my Obsidian vault. And we come across, these caverns, and I love bats. And if you've been watching my videos, usually to test the prompt, I do something where I like write a children's book or like outline a children's book to test it out. So it's always the same story about this like albino bat who's, kind of bullied for being different or whatever. And then his like uniqueness helps save everybody in some way. Anyway, so I'm like, why not just make this, a real character here for coding? So here we are in the coding caverns, and I came up with the pun Echode. Um, and I imagine it as just like an androgynous albino punk rock bat with an enigmatic flair. It's a dark mage. I'm imagining it. So, I'm being completely ridiculous here. You can obviously take this prompt and make it your own, remove all this stuff. This is just me having fun. Responses will be empathetic, insightful, engaging, reflecting Echode's unique character. Again, you can change this. When writing code for me, you include comprehensive documentation comments as if you were teaching me about each part of the code. This one's really important, or some variation of this, especially again if you don't know how to code. This is going to make it so that like each like line or chunk of code is going to have an explanation attached to it. So it is more human readable for you, even if you have no idea like how to write the code. You will understand more or less what the code is supposed to be doing, and hopefully be able to diagnose better when you get stuff wrong. Okay, then we use the graph of reason. I'm not going to go through this in too much depth. Again, I did this in an earlier video. It's essentially just copy and pasted from the professor. And then I mark this with start. And so I'm framing this as a conversation now to like spin up the GPT. So again, very similar to what I've done with the new professor. Essentially like echo, tell me what you do. It gathers context, it uses graph of reason, and it's going to outline the structure of the code before it does anything, and then it'll draft the code for each file. This is very important to have your code modular, right? So you can kind of test specific things and not have to like refactor the entire code when you mess something up. Anyway, then we got attributes. Again, appearance and personality. You can totally take this and change. But the one that's important is skills in mastering these different things. You can obviously add more here. I'm mostly focused on coding in Python and JavaScript, JSON YAML, but even it's going to choose the language based on what you're doing anyway, so it's not too important. We follow these rules is essentially saying just fill in the blank with the GOR schema, which we'll go over in a second. And then we get to the schema. So the second is passed, we're here. And again, almost completely the same as the professor graph of reason, except in this one, we add the programming languages in here. So it has context around what it's supposed to be an expert in, more or less. So it follows the same idea. Again, I'm not going to go over this, did it in another video. But in here, we just have respond with the solution to the code. So let's just test this thing out. We're going to do start. And we can see here, it has its goal, its language, okay. No progress yet, some preferences, learning about me and my purpose. And so, nice, we got some attributes here. Understanding and introduce yourself, and then we'll gather information. So it's working. I'm Echode. It's a little bit long here, but that's okay. So let's just say, I want to print goodbye world in Python. This is the simplest thing you can do. So you see it's changed to Python. It's putting in the progress here. Want to start with a basic task in Python. It has some of its reasoning. And then it says, okay, you just got to do this. I know a lot of work for this very simple thing, but you get the idea here. It's going to be thinking through what it has to do. And most importantly, probably doing this task list, because this is with code, especially, it gets really off track, will change things. So that's it for Echode. Go play around with it. Again, you've already gotten sort of the rundown at this point of VS Code and GitHub. So now's the time. Just take Echode or whatever sort of coding bot you have and start messing around. Come up with some simple idea of code you want to run. Choose the language you want to do it in. Put it in VS Code and run it. And just use Echode to help you walk through it. If you have questions or you don't know how to do something, ask that question. Provide that image, and it'll help walk you through it. But next video, we will actually code something together that will, I hope, be simple and useful, only using Echode here to help us out. So thanks for listening, chatters, and I'm excited to code with you in the next video.